How are you doing right now? Like literally, how are you doing? How are you feeling? How's your health? Physical, mental, spiritual? How are you? Better yet, are there any secrets that you're keeping? Anything that you're worried about health-wise that you're not taking care of? In this episode of the Sneaky Principle podcast, I want to engage you in a conversation about wellness and self-care, and specifically paying attention to your health. Let's go ahead and start.
When they see me, they know that every day when I'm breathing, it's for us to go farther. You know, every time I speak, I want the truth to come out. You know what I'm saying? Every time I speak, I want to shiver. You know, I don't want them to be like, they know what I'm going to say because it's polite. They know what I'm going to say. And even if I get in trouble, you know what I'm saying? Ain't that what we're supposed to do? I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us. We might not be the ones, but let's not be selfish, and because we're not going to change the world, let's not talk about how we should change it. I don't know how to change it, but I know if I keep talking about how dirty it is out here, somebody's going to clean it up.
And now he's been promoted. His job, principal.
Hello, everyone. This is Uche Joku, Sneaker Principal, and welcome to this episode of the Sneaker Principal podcast. Your health is something that a lot of us, better yet, that a lot of you, including myself, don't always fully appreciate until it drops, until you become unhealthy, until you become sick. So let me start by telling you a quick story about myself. I've shared this before, but I feel like it's one of those stories that needs to be told over and over again. So back in about 2015 or so, I was in a car accident, and as a result of the car accident, you know, I really tweaked my back, and I had to go see a doctor. And doing this appointment with the doctor, I, the typical, they take your blood pressure. So they took my blood pressure, and it's a problem when they walk out the room. They say nothing to you. The nurse runs out the room. No, not run, but quickly walks out the room. They comes back and say, we're going to do it again. And they use a different technique. Maybe instead of using the automatic cuff, they use, they do the manual reading. And they're like, ooh, it's a little high. Let me get the doctor in. And you're like, okay, now this is going to be a third person or a third run of the blood pressure test. And the doctor comes in and he does it, and he's like, how are you feeling right now? And in that moment, I'll be honest with you, I was tired. I was a little annoyed. I had to drive from work for this appointment, a lot of traffic, finding parking was annoying. And again, it was just a rough day at work. And he said to me, how did you get here? I said, I drove. And he's like, huh. He's like, your blood pressure is really, really high. Like it's so high that I'm not even sure how you're still like mentally functioning right now. And it's funny because my annoyance turned into bordering on rage. I was like, guys, listen, can we just move on with this? I just want to go home. And he was like, he's like, I wouldn't advise you at this point in time. In all reality, in cases like this, with numbers like this, we're calling an ambulance to take you straight to the ER. Because people in your situation usually are passing out or have already passed out. I looked at him like, what are you talking about? I was so wind up tight from the day that I already had at work. I think if I remember correctly that day, maybe I've had 30 parent meetings, and I was an assistant principal at the time. Like 30 parent meetings, there might have been a fight. Then my principal was annoying me. you know, teachers were annoying me. There was all these things happening. And it didn't help that I was about 350 pounds. It didn't help that I was not eating healthy. It didn't help that I wasn't getting much sleep. It didn't help that my whole entire life was really wrapped around the school building. I got there early, I left there late, and my whole entire identity was tied into the work that I was doing as an assistant principal. I literally made very little room for anything else other than work. So as I'm sitting there with a doctor, and the doctor is trying their best to help me understand the severity of the situation, I am not trying to hear it. Then he said these words that resonated with me. It still echoes to my head. Right? It didn't resonate, but it definitely caught my attention. He said to me, "Mr. Njoku, are you trying to kill yourself? Do you want to die?" And I heard him, but I was just like, you know what? Bump this. I'm out. And I remember I stormed out the hospital and everything. I was really mad. And of course, being angry is not going to help the blood pressure. But it was just so much going on. And I went straight to the house. I went straight home. And I was just like tired and exhausted. And I think I just laid down. I knocked out. And that's something I didn't usually do, go home and just go to sleep. I would find some work to do. And I remember waking up in the middle of the night and didn't feel any better. And I kept on thinking about what he said. Are you trying to kill yourself? Are you trying to die? And it's funny because in my mind, I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be great at what I was doing. I wanted to be seen for the work that I was doing. And I wanted to be the best assistant principal I could be, the best administrator I can be. But I was doing all these things in spite of the fact that I knew something was wrong with my health. I could feel it, but I would give myself reasons. Oh, I'm just tired. I'm just not getting enough sleep. I'm just. But the reality was, at 350 pounds, let's call it what it is, I was very unhealthy. And fast forward, eventually I had to make some tough decisions. And this is after several times up and down, losing 30 pounds here, 40 pounds here. I think the most weight I ever lost at any given time was roughly about 80 pounds. 80? I think the most weight I ever lost at any given time from that 350 range was about 80 pounds. And I had done that a few years earlier. So I'd been doing the yo-yo weight up and down, up and down. And eventually got to the point where, I had to make the tough decision of getting gastro bypass surgery. And mind you, I'm not a surgery kind of person. I'd had my shoulder repaired a few years prior, and that was crazy. That was painful. That was like completely just like not something I would ever want to do again. And here I am, and I had to make a decision because my weight was so out of control. My blood pressure was so out of control. I was pre-diabetic. I had severe sleep apnea. Like, it was just everything. And all the things on all the markers that typically leads to the death of black men, I had going on. Strangely enough, the only thing I didn't have was heart disease. My heart was pretty strong. My heart walls were healthy. And they said, that was something, even when they did my EKG, they were like, that was pretty surprising. And the only thing I would give that to is the fact that even at my biggest size, I was always working out. I was 350, but I was still in the gym. And my mentality was like, I need to make sure I was powerful enough strong enough to be able to withstand anything that came my way. And maybe that's why, even though I wasn't doing much cardio, but just lifting weights, got my heart rate up and kept my heart healthy, but everything else was out of control. Again, pre-diabetic, hypertensive, all these things, right? So I got the surgery, and fast forward, and here I am now, and I'm about 225. Am I the healthiest I can be? Absolutely not. Am I still a workaholic? Yes, I am. Am I more conscious of my health and what I do? Yes, I am. Do I drop the ball all the time? Yes, I do. So it's a struggle, but it's also a struggle that I think doesn't have to be, as long as we're conscious of the lies that we're telling ourselves about our health. And I lied to myself for a very long time. I didn't get to 350 overnight, and I didn't come into education at 350. I was probably about 265 or so. I was pretty much a power lifter. I had that power lifter frame, and the work became my priority. And slowly but surely, over the next decade or so, I got to 350, and I'm grateful that I'm not there anymore, and I do work hard to make sure I don't get to that point. But I also know that it is a thin line. It's a very thin line between where I'm at right now, or actually where I'm at right now, where I could be, as far as if I don't pay attention to what I'm doing, and also where I could be if I was more intentional and put more work in, which I'm doing. But I know I could do more. So that's my little spiel, and hopefully it didn't bore you. But again, I know what I'm saying is speaking to someone out there, and I'm going to say this specifically to men. To men, a lot of us, and again, I know my audience is not just school leaders. It's not just aspiring school leaders. I have people who listen to this who are in various fields, various fields in education and outside of education. And I'll say this: men, you have to take care of yourselves. Too often we move in the fashion that we are raised to move in, or move like, which is we are the providers, we're the caretakers, and we take care of everybody else before we take care of ourselves. And then if there's anything having to do with our health, it's we think that it is weakness to be sick. But the reality is, being sick is your body telling you you're not doing something right or something is wrong. So we have to be very conscious, listening to our bodies and knowing all the things that we may face as men, whether it's things just have to do with men in general, whether it's things having to do with our westernized diets, whether it's things that tend to impact black men more so, or Asian men more so, or white men more so, whatever race or background you may come from. We have to be conscious of these things, because again, let's be honest here, men live shorter lives than women for a reason. And usually it's because we just don't tend to pay attention to our health until it is too late. And so I just want to put that out there and make sure it's very clear. And again, women, same thing with you. It's just that men, we do a poor job when it comes to staying on top of our health. And hopefully, as a man, you have a strong woman next to you, or whether it's a wife or a sister or a mother or a friend who's looking out for you and is pushing you to take care of yourself. And sadly enough, a lot of men don't have that. So again, let's get back. Let me get back to my notes. There's a couple of things I just wanted to point out before wrapping up this episode. So first thing, the demands on school leaders. We have to check ourselves and be realistic about what we can get done during the day. And I know I need to listen to this myself, but it's very important that you schedule out your day. The demands on school leaders is insane. Between the compliance issues and then the things that pop up and the things that becomes your responsibility because you have the title of principal or assistant principal. So the number of times where I'm ready to walk out the building, and all of a sudden, ring, 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 such and such didn't get home, and you're like, okay, what's going on here? Then you find yourself at the school making phone calls to try to figure out where this child is or whatever the case may be. And then all of a sudden you find out they were at wherever his friend's house or at the park and no one knew where they were. And now they're home, and guess what? You're the last person in the building. I've been in the building sometimes waiting for the police or child protective services to come meet me because there was a child at the school with me. I'll tell you that sometimes it's late as 8, 9 o'clock. And yeah, somebody might say, well, there's all these protocols they can come pick up. Yeah, but you still gotta wait with them. You can't. As a leader, I'm not willing to just say, hey, child, stay here in the corner until somebody comes to get you. My belief has always been, once the child's in my custody, that is my child until I hand them off to the proper person, whether it's their parent or authorities or whatever the case may be. But things like this make for very, very long days. Yeah, they don't happen all the time, but sometimes there are things that that don't allow you to have a properly scheduled day. But one of the things that I learned, and I have to remind myself every day, you have to have a full stop, a time in the day where you're like, I'm done for the day. Barring those things that could pop up at any given time that are just part of the job. Like I said earlier, something happens with a child and you have to be there. Yes, I understand that, but you have to make it a point to know when to stop your day, and also know when you start your day. I know people who their official work day doesn't start till 7:30, but their work is 6:30 every day. That used to be me, and that's one of the things that I had to stop doing. And because I told myself, rather than getting to work a whole hour before I should be there, I can take some of that time and go to the gym and work out, meditate, do something. So I have a clear mind and body before I even walk into the building, versus waking up, jumping in the shower, jumping in traffic, and go straight to work. So think about it. You wake up, shower, then you're in traffic, and depending on how far you're driving, that's stress right there. Then you walk to the building, then as soon as you walk in, your adrenaline's pumping, your stress hormones are starting to ooze out, and next you know, the day starts and you're going. Then if you're one of those people who doesn't know how to stop the day, then guess what you're doing? Now you're at the job till 5, 6, whatever it may be. And I know some of you who might be listening to this who work with them, but like, wait a minute, but Mr. Joker, you do that. No, one thing I do is I do. One of the things that I do is I do wake up early. I do go to the gym, and that's like a religion for me. Whether it's going to the gym or get some kind of physical activity. Even the days where I'm like, oh my God, I overslept, which is rare, I will drop on the floor and knock out 100 push-ups. Because again, I have to make sure the blood is flowing in my body and that blood is flowing to my brain to make sure that I'm ready to start the day the right way. When I'm in traffic and I'm driving, I'm not thinking. I try my best not to think about work. I think I might use that time to engage in some kind of gratitude conversation. I reach out to a friend who might be in traffic as well, and just to say, hey, what's up, and chop it up. Or I might do an audio book in the car. Like, these are things that I'm doing to make sure that when I walk into the building, I turn on when I walk in. Yes, is that always the case? No, there's some days where you're walking into something and work might start a little bit earlier just because of the circumstance of that day, and that's okay. But it cannot be like that every single day. The thing that you need to understand about self-care is that it's about taking the time to attend to your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. Okay? Physical, emotional, and mental well-being, and being intentional about that when carving that time out. And for everybody, it's going to be different. Like in my case, I like early mornings and I like late evenings, those two spaces just to like kind of like unpack my brain, or set myself up for the next day. Again, is it something that is easy to do? No, it's not. It's very hard because often if you're not careful, you let the day dictate your 24 hours. And for me, my 24 hours have to be broken up. Sleep, preparation, and release. So preparation for my day, working out, meditating, getting the mind and body ready. Then end of the day, release. Shut it off. Shut it off so that your body has time to recuperate and reset itself so you can jump into the next day and get back to the grind. So practical self-care strategies. So, like I said about I have it scheduled in my day to work out. And I do have it. I don't have it timed out to meditate, but I do take brain breaks. I do, listen to my body. There are times when I'm just like, okay, Uche, you're starting to escalate. Your anxiety is starting to get high, or you're getting hyper emotional, and I will, stop everything, put my do not disturb sign on the door, turn lights off, and breathe. Or sometimes it might just be I need a complete detachment from what I'm feeling in that moment, and I will drop into the floor and do some push-ups. Where I'm at right now, I haven't done that like a drop of the hat, but previously I would do that. I'd be in the hallway and just drop to do some push-ups, and the thing with that was that doing push-ups, or if you're for you it's jumping jacks or whatever it is you do, because it's something that requires focus and concentration. My brain takes a break from the thing that it was focused on prior to doing those push-ups. So I don't like to do minimum 40, and depending on how I'm feeling, I might push for that 100 push-ups, and I'm talking about 100 push-ups in a row. So I'll do 10 times to get to that 100. And again, when I'm done, I'm breathing. I feel the adrenaline rush, the blood flowing, and all of a sudden, my anxiety is non-existent, and I get to refocus and attack whatever the problem is or whatever work I need to get done. So I do things like that. The other thing too is eating during the day, and that's something I need to get better at. During the day, I like to intentionally fast. What I mean by intentionally, meaning that today I'm going to fast. This week I'm going to fast, and it's part of my intention. Versus I fasted because I didn't get to eat. I was hungry throughout the whole entire day, and I was annoyed. And every time I try to get some food to eat, somebody's bothering me or distracting me. So then what ends up happening is, when I do get to eat, I go and grab a bunch of bags of chips and soda, whatever the case may be, because I'm ravenous. I want something quick. Versus when you're intentional, you say, okay, I'm going to start my fast at this time. I'm going to run to this time, and this is how I'm going to break my fast. Because if I break my fast at 4, maybe I'll have a bowl of fruit or something that honors my body for surviving that fast. That intentionality is very, very important. So those are some of the strategies that I like to employ when it comes to food. I try to make sure that I'm not putting myself in a position where I'm starving and then I'm hangry throughout the day because I didn't get to eat. And then between the hunger and anger, it becomes its own beast. Like, I make sure to be intentional. And it doesn't always happen. There are days where it slips my mind and I'm like, oh, snap. But then once I know, okay, I haven't eaten or I'm getting hungry, then I have a conversation with myself. Okay, what am I going to do about that? Is there a hunger where I can make it intentional and tell myself, okay, I'm going to hold off for the next 2, 3, 4 hours, and then at that point I'll get something? Or is it something where I'm just like, okay, I need to get something to eat right now? Then ask myself, what is it that is going to allow me to have a more effective day after I eat it, versus something that's going to make me exhausted and groggy and completely out of the loopy after having it. And I'm talking about like things like sugars and processed foods that just elevates your sugar spike. So you're like hyper, then all of a sudden you're done. So So those are the things that I really think about. Like, how do I make sure that I'm taking care of my body? And the other thing too is being hydrated. Getting some fluids in. I'm lucky. I have a water cooler in my office that's open to anybody who wants to get the water. I just gotta make sure I say that I'm not the king with the water cooler in my office. No, it's stationed in my office. People come in there all the time to get water, but you gotta stay hydrated, especially when you're in a space where where the air quality is not that great, or you might not be moving as much as you want to move. So you want to make sure you're hydrated, that your body, your muscles are getting a lot of fluids, and also allows you to flush your system out. People don't think about that. You have to be regular, whether it's, especially when it comes to going to the bathroom, and the best way to do that is drink water, and let your body be able to flush itself out. And then now when it comes to mental and emotional wellness, I think I touched upon this already. Breathing, that's been my biggest thing. Find a space to just breathe, or do something that breaks the monotony during the day. That's something that's very important to me. But the other thing too is having trusted people around you that you talk to. Like, really talk to them and say, hey, I'm having a tough day today. But also having people around you who you've developed a relationship strong enough for them to say, hey, how are you doing? You don't look too good today, or you look tired. And I appreciate that. When people on my staff tell me that, I really appreciate that, because that tells me that they care about me. Because the other thing too, I do the same thing. I might see them, but like, hey, what's going on? Are you good? Because sometimes, mind you, I started this episode by asking you this question. How are you doing? Because often how we're doing, especially when it comes to our mental, physical, emotional health, is a secret. We say we're fine when we're not. So for me, it's very important to create spaces for us to be able to freely express what we're going through, so that we have a tribe and a culture developed within our school of wellness, mutual wellness, taking care of each other. But again, that's something that often you don't talk about. We suffer in silence, and that's something that I try to ensure, at least in my school community, that we're not doing. Am I the best person at doing it all the time? No, but also I put my money where my mouth is. I have vendors. I have one particular vendor who comes to my school and does that work, not just for myself. Not just for my students, my teachers, but also for me, and my parents as well. Having wellness workshops for the parents, going visiting classrooms and doing that work for kids, and then for the teachers, and then me myself, having that conversation where I'm being checked in with to see how I'm doing, how I'm doing personally, how am I doing professionally, how am I addressing issues in the school, what kind of support I could be given to be more effective in supporting the school community. Like, these things are like very, very important, and often we don't engage in them. And I'm gonna say it again: we don't engage in them because we are embarrassed, or we're fearful, or we're worried about being judged as being weak. But in all reality, that's not what it is. This is something that I think makes you better. I can tell you this. Ever since I lost the weight, and I've been conscious in making the right moves to stay healthy, even though, again, I'm nowhere close to where I want to be, but at least it's there, and then only that, being more conscious of my mental well-being, something, again, that I've not always done great at, but the fact of the matter, like right now, I am conscious of it. I am a big believer in protecting my mental health, and being able to tell people, like, to back off, like really back off when they're infringing on my mental health. And these are things that as school leaders are very, very important. Knowing when to take a meeting and not to take a meeting, knowing when to being able to tell your superiors, like, hey, I'm not doing good right now, or I need X, Y, Z. These are things that I believe are marks of good leaders, because, again, if you're serious about your health, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, that means you're going to be, or at least you should be serious about those of the people around you. Because if you're serious about theirs, and then eventually, and hopefully, they'll be serious about yours, and you develop a culture where that is part of the conversation. You know, you start your meetings by doing check-ins. You make sure that everybody is good. You're paying attention to people's needs, and they're paying attention to your needs. Students, parents, kids, staff, cafeteria workers, bus drivers. These are things that are very, very important. So I was moved to do this episode, and maybe I've been babbling a little bit because again, life is short. Life is very, very short, and we're not going to be here forever at all. But while we're here, I think it behooves us all to be the best version of ourselves, whether it's emotionally, physically, mentally. We have to be our best versions, and the only way we do that is by listening to our bodies, listening to our inner voices, and doing the work to make sure that we're healthy all around, but also creating space for our colleagues and our staff and our students and those that we care about to engage in those same conversations. Yeah, please take care of yourself. If you listen to this episode, I hope that I said something that just sparked something in you to say, you know what, I'm just going to try to be 1% better tomorrow. And that's really the goal, just to be 1% better tomorrow. That's it. Because guess what? After 5 days, you might be 5% better. After 100 days, you might be 100% better. That's that minimum movement, But either way, you got to move forward, and fail forward, stand up, dust yourself off, and keep moving forward, and reach that place that you end up being the best version of yourself. All right, y'all. This is Change Joker, Sneaker Principal. Hopefully this was good for somebody. And I'll talk to y'all soon, all right? Be well. Peace.